Middlesex ended their one-day cup campaign by nearly producing an extraordinary run chase against Sussex in Hove, the hosts sneaking home by 3 runs. Middlesex were in the field after losing the toss, and they waited until the 8th over to break through, James Harris getting alley or in a tangle to claim a return catch. The Sharks made nothing more than steady progress through the batting power play, the opening 10 overs bringing them a score of 34 for 1. But as it turned out, it was an ideal way to start their innings. It allowed Ben Brown and Tom Haines to settle in, take in the conditions and get themselves very well set for a push on later. They remained patient for some time, Sussex on 107 for 1 at the halfway stage of their innings. Both Haines and Brown secured their 50s, Haines at his off 73 balls and Brown to his from 60. Their 100-run stand was produced off 20 overs, a partnership produced with no panic, a good selection of strokes and solid running between the wickets. It took them until the 32nd over to hit a 6, Haines going big off Martin Anderson, a shot which brought up the 150 in the 32nd over. With so many wickets in hand, the pair still decided to play largely risk-free cricket as their partnership continued to grow. Although Middlesex was struggling to make any inroads, they were keeping things fairly tight. Come the end of 40 overs with 10 to go, Sussex had posted a total of 203 for 1, both batsmen on 92. This 6 took Haines to 98 and he then completed his 100 off 120 balls. With that out of the way, the Sharks skipper decided that now was the time to change gears. He went after Tilan Walalawita, the 43rd over going for 18 runs and including these 2 maximums for the left-hander. Brown was at 3 figures off 100 deliveries and then, at last, Middlesex ended the 219-run stand, Haines hitting Anderson high into the sky, the ball landing safely in the hands of Stevie Eskenazi. That brought to the crease Travis Head, now with a licence to thrill, and that he did from the off. In just 8 balls, he'd scored 25 runs, Anderson being punished by the Aussie. Brown finally fell in over number 47, driving Walalawita out to Max Holden with 105 runs to his name. Sussex on 285 for 3 with 3 overs to go. And from those, they smashed 48 runs. Head may have only been at the crease for a short time, but what an impact he made. Twice in successive balls, he cleared the rope off Harris, his 46 runs occupying just 20 deliveries. That was matched by David Visa, who hit 3 maximums and 3 fours from the 11 balls that his innings lasted. All the hard work of Haines and Brown had allowed these 2 experienced hard hitters to hit hard, and they both did. Their partnership may have only lasted 21 balls, but from those they blazed 56 runs. Visa was run out off the penultimate ball for a rapid 33. The Sharks doubtless delighted to finish their 50 overs with a total of 333 for 4, a tough target to chase down, whatever the conditions. They were clearly good to bat in, and Holden and Eskenazi proved that with a sound opening to the Middlesex innings. Both men settled in for the big task ahead and would have been pleased to see off the new ball while also keeping the scoreboard ticking over. 61 runs knocked off the target after 10 overs, with both batsmen well set. Having done the hard work, Eskenazi would have been really disappointed to plug Daniel Ibrahim to the Haines at mid-off, gone for 26 at 65 for 1. Middlesex went 15 overs without a single boundary until in the 24th, Holden struck Will Beer to the fence before securing his 52 balls later of 62 deliveries. He needed to bat on from here. Varun Chopra waited until his 49th delivery to strike his first boundary. His knock was a great example of patience. He was out having worked so hard, bowled on the charge by Head for a 62 ball 45. Holden was still there and now held the key. With 30 overs gone and 20 remaining, the total read 157 for 2, with another 177 still needed. Holden, in partnership with Peter Hanscom, tried his best to increase the tempo. Hanscom was just looking set to go after the bowling when he was legged before on the sweep to James Coles, gone for 16. This 4, his 12th, took Holden to 94 as he closed in on his second 100 in this format. But just short, he was then brilliantly held off his own bowling by Head. With 2 new men at the crease, Middlesex found themselves on 194 for 4, requiring 140 runs from the remaining 14 overs. They needed to do what Head and Visa had done for Sussex, and Jack Davis looked up for the task as he helped reduce the target to 112 from the final 10 with 6 wickets in hand. That became 5 when Robbie White was bowled by Beer for 15. Which left Davis with more responsibility, and he struck his side's first 6 4 balls later. In just his 5th List A game, the 21-year-old was suddenly the boy most likely. The task, however, was getting tougher. 83 runs were left to find from 6 overs, so it was now or never for Davis, who struck successive 4s to complete a 50 off only 35 balls. Middlesex have unearthed a real talent. Anderson has shown in this competition that he can hit a long ball, and he did so now as 17 runs were taken off the 45th over. 5 more like that, and the visitors would win. But the mountain to climb became steeper when Davis on 51 failed in an attempt to ramp Visa. A fine knock ended just too soon. Anderson now kept the game alive as 14 runs were taken off Visa's over, 52 now needed from 4. Wallaluita would have fancied his chances, but when he gloved Beer behind, the writing was surely on the wall. Middlesex on 287 for 7. At the same stage of their innings, the Sharks had 2 runs fewer on the board, so Middlesex knew that getting across the winning line was still possible, especially with shots like this from Anderson. Joshua De Caires then cleared the rope as 23 runs were taken off the penultimate over, leaving 14 more to get from the last one. What had seemed almost impossible was now very much achievable. And when Anderson smashed the first ball of over 50 for 6, 8 were wanted off 5 balls, and from nowhere, Middlesex were favourites. A single then followed before De Caires was held in the deep, his 21 runs using up only 11 balls. Crucially, Anderson was back on strike for the last 3 deliveries. But he and Harris then traded singles, leaving 5 to find off the last ball or 4 to tie. Alas, Anderson could only get a single. He ended on 44 from 21, but Visa had conceded just 4 runs from the last 5 deliveries of a thrilling contest. So Middlesex ended on 330 for 8, and that meant a defeat by just 3 runs. And that ends their one-day cup season, one which certainly had its highs for sure.